Okay, hi Ann. Welcome back to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me back.
Oh, always a pleasure. We always have a good time when you
Yep.
come on. We always seem to talk about something interesting, and hopefully we can figure out something to talk about interesting this time. You do have another new book. I did want to ask you one thing about Deadwood because I see on here this says, okay, hip deep in bad company. So that's the
Uh-huh.
latest one, right?
Right, right.
Okay, it says book five of the Deadwood Undertaker series. Is there more than one Deadwood series going? Or is it
Yes,
always.
so
Okay.
there's the Deadwood Mystery series, which is contemporary, and that's the blend of mystery, supernatural, humor, a little bit of romance, all that stuff mixed together. And then there's the Deadwood Undertaker series, which is the prequel series to the Deadwood Mystery series. So, because we're dealing with supernatural, there are characters who, of course, are in the Deadwood Undertaker series that you might also see in the Deadwood Mystery series. And it gives more ground kind of story and what was happening back in the 1870s in Deadwood that now Violet in the contemporary series is often dealing with.
So the characters are kind of interchanged in both series?
Some,
Some.
it's a mix of supernatural creatures, ghosts, and humans. So of course, there's humans. We have our lifespan, but when you have supernatural creatures, they can be as an author, they can be as old as I'd like them to be. So they do go back and forth, and sometimes there's people that you may know, humans in the uh, Undertaker series in the past, that when you get to the contemporary, they're ghosts. So then you know what they were like as a human, and then why they're ghosts, and what happened, and that kind of thing, which is a lot of fun to do, to go back and forth.
Is the Deadwood series humorous or is it more thriller, suspense, scary kind of?
I would say it's more humorous. It's a dark humor,
Okay.
because we're often dealing with some, somewhat gruesome deaths or horrible tragedies, and but Violet Parker in the contemporary series, there is a lot of humor with her and the way she handles, what she has to deal with, whether it's supernatural or not. She comes at things with humor. So that's why we always include humorous, because there are a lot of laugh moments in the midst of cringing, and wincing and chewing on your knuckles.
When was the first Deadwood published? Do you remember?
Whew, January 2011.
Oh, so it's been going for a while, you know?
Yes. And we have recently, I'm working with a small publisher that we are revamping. Well, we're not really changing any of the plot. We're just updating the story and putting out a hardback version of the first one, Nearly Departed in Deadwood, this December. So it's going to be kind of a collector's edition with what we're doing, and the some deleted scenes we're adding, and just a few other things. So we're I went through, for example, back in 2008, 2009, when I first wrote this book, technology was different. So some of the things that we updated was to make it more it flow, no matter the technology, and how it changes.
Well, isn't the. I thought it was set in the 1800s.
That's the Deadwood Undertaker.
Oh,
So I was
oh,
talking about
oh.
the contemporary, the Deadwood Mystery series.
Oh, so the mystery
So,
series is in present day.
right, right.
Oh, I get it. Okay, so the Undertaker series would be sort of
The old,
flashback in a way. Yeah.
right, right. The Old West, and the characters. There's some different core characters for that series, for the Undertaker series, from Violet and her crew in the Mystery series.
The other one that you've been on and have talked about was the Jackrabbit Junction. Is that the right? Yeah.
That is correct too, and that is a contemporary, as well as the Deadwood Mystery series, and that stars Violet's neighbors growing up, the Morgan sisters. So they again, we have crossover characters that go back and forth. Violet's best friend Natalie is cousins to the Morgan sisters, so she goes down there with them periodically. So again, it's I have one world basically, and then all these, sub series within my world where there are crossover, and it it makes it fun for me, and I think for a lot of the readers that, oh, so and so's in this series, and and in this new book, and I know them from this other series.
Where did Violet come from?
You mean in my brain?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, in
Where
your
did she?
brain.
Um, Long ago, I was pregnant with my second child. My mom and stepfather had moved to the Deadwood area when I was just a kid, and so I'd been going there for a long time and spending a lot of time there. It's my second home, growing up. So I was there in Deadwood with my husband, and I was pregnant with my second child. And the big gold mine up in Lee, the Home State Gold Mine, had recently shut down, and of course that hit this small town economy hard. And I thought, what would it be like to be here trying to, raise children? And my husband and I had recently worked with a realtor to purchase some land up in Washington, and had a great time with that realtor going out into the boonies. So I thought, what if Violet was a realtor, and she was trying to make a go of it in this town where they're having some troubles, and she's doing the best she can, and she has to go with strangers into houses that are supposedly haunted, and what could happen. And that was kind of the birth of it all. And my husband and I brainstormed this a lot during that trip and on the way home. And when we got back home, we decided to go forth, and I started writing it.
You think you're going to run out of ideas for this?
I thought I would, but I'm writing book 14, and there's so much that keeps coming and happening. There's this organic growth to the story that way back when I planned the first one, I had no idea what I was opening the door to, and how rich this story world is. And, the supernatural makes it even bigger and more possibilities. And I think it keeps it from being repetitive, like like a series, with mysteries that are solved. It's more crazy stuff coming in that Violet is just flabbergasted often. How am I going to how will I handle this? How will we stop this, from going? So it just keeps growing. As long as the readers are having fun and I'm having fun, I can see this series going on for quite a while yet. I do have an overall plot line for the series that, it will come to an end, but I'm just playing in there in the sandbox with all of them and seeing how it goes.
So the mystery series, does it start with Violet like as a child?
No. It's actually, ironically, there's a time from the very start. It starts in July of X year. I don't put a year to it. And currently I'm working on book 14, and we're the following February. So we have 13 books between, mid-July to February that have happened. And I do keep the date in there, so you're kind of following if you're binging it, and seeing 2 weeks later, this next book starts, or a week later. And sometimes it's that night the next book starts, as we go from book to book. So it depends on the situation and what's happening, but we're really not flying forward. We're moving forward. Again, if you're binging it, it works, it just flows, I think, with time. It's when you're waiting year after year, like some of the readers have been since the start, that it feels like, where are we at again? How far have we gone?
So that's only, what, 7 months, 8 months?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And 14 books?
Yes.
Oh, she's a busy girl then, isn't she?
The Black Hills are busy. Supernatural world has opened up in it, and there's so much going on that it keeps her hopping.
Is there any interest in having this developed into a, Netflix series or something like that? Have you been working at that, or are you interested in that?
It's not that I am interested. I didn't want to push it for years because I knew that if I was going to ever get into something like that I needed to have a lot of books ready, a lot of story already written, so that you don't get put as the author on hurry up and write, that kind of situation, because that's where I think a story can start to stumble and falter and not hold true to what it was. So one of the things I often had thought and said to readers is that I need more books before I would even start to think about this being, trying to shop it along those lines. In time, I mean, I'm up to, like I said, now I'm up to 14. So I do think that there is potential, and I think it would be a lot of fun to see, this series as a Netflix series or whatever. Have I gone out and, sought the whole, all that you need to do to make that happen? No. I've just been trying to keep writing and keep up with the different book series I have going.
Well, I think 14 is plenty to get started on that. I mean, I've known people that have done it with 2 books.
Right. I just thought it seemed like with the Game of Thrones, I remember reading an article where the author had said something along the lines of, he was getting a lot of angry emails for him to hurry up and write the next book. And it was distracting, to say the least. So that's where I felt at the time of, I think I need more story before I would ever try to pursue that. And to pursue that, I mean, that's a whole education, a degree, I guess, on its own to go start pursuing that. As a writer, you have to learn the craft, which is, I think of it as a, 4-year degree easily on its own to get good at craft. Then there's marketing, which maybe you need a master's for that nowadays. Sheesh, and then there's, pursuing different types of things like film. You don't want to go into that without knowing what you're doing.
Do you have any experience writing screenplays?
No, that's the other thing. I don't. At this time, I bought a book years ago and thought I should, really work into that, because I have some author friends who've done a really good job, and they now write screenplays, and they're, built their world that way. Very impressive. But no, I've just been sticking to, I have 5 different series and just trying to keep up there.
Well, I know you're a very successful author, and I'm happy about that. I've had authors on both sides of this, where they started out writing screenplays and couldn't make a dime.
Yeah.
So they converted to novels and they did better. And then I've had authors on the other way who wrote novels, couldn't make a dime, converted their work into screenplays and got them sold. So there's no, one way or the other. Right. With you, it wouldn't be a matter of that. It would be a matter of, would you like to do that, or would you want to see it on TV? Are your books available on audio?
They are.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Audio, and that's we do find a lot of new readers now in both the Undertaker series and my other series that come in via audio, which is great. I took time in picking my narrators way back when. And have stuck with them throughout for each series. So you don't, have the change up, which can be really distracting, I know, for listeners. You have the same reader for all the books in the series, which is a lot of fun.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Because if the voice changes, it's like changing the actor. Remember Bewitched, and they changed Darren's? And I could just never get over it, It's not the same. So we've got just about a minute or so. I thought we were going to go off on a tangent somewhere, but we spent the entire interview just talking about the books, which is fine, because that's why you're here. But let me ask you one thing that's related to publishing. When you started, how much has the environment changed? We talked about technology, and I mean, is it a big leap from 2011 to now as to what's available for authors? Or
yes, I mean, the way I succeeded in getting known back in 2011, 2012, 2013, when I first started out, the methods I use, the tools I use don't work like they used to, or are gone. And this is in the marketing world with books. It's a constant pivot, where it seemed like back then once a year I'd have to analyze what I was doing marketing and change it up for the next. Now it's every, few months. What's this? What's that? And a constant, like I said, a pivoting to try to keep up with what's the newest thing. And I don't necessarily do that well. There's so much different social media, and I've just stuck with a couple. I have a foothold in some, but mainly I've stuck with a couple because I need to write books, and I do have kids and family. So I can't spend all my time, doing social media and that kind of a thing. So it's juggling, everything all at once and trying to just keep your head above water.
I think technology is moving along faster than we can all digest it. And,
Yes.
and everybody has heartburn. That's about it. And we got to wind this down. Thank you again for coming on. Always a pleasure to speak to you. Give out your website, please.
AnnCharles.com, and there's no E after Ann, so just AnnCharles.com.
Okay, and the latest book is Hip Deep in Bad Company, Book 5 of the Deadwood Undertaker series. It has been released?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Well, thanks again for coming on. Always nice seeing you. Best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me again.